Well, hello everyone. You hear right here. I'm talking about charity right here, and we can all see this right here. That if we were to be looking at any sorts of advertisements or anything, such as maybe posters or anything like that, flyers or something like that, that would represent something like that. Yeah, that if you're trying to like support from the community or something like that, and then also that if you're familiar with a certain title or something like that, or something, anything that they're talking about in the community and all that. But still, that you see right here that I include this image right here of talk about for Sarah Brown right here, and this right here is actually a painted portrait right here that I was working on, and I kept thinking about if I want to go ahead and just use this kind of like an example, talking about for charity right here, and why do I think that this will be a great example right here, mainly because of the fact that and most of the time, whenever you do see these emails and maybe all these other ads that come up a lot of times, that you would see an image like something like this right here that would represent, to where that include a still image, just showing about somebody asking for extra support, or maybe if it is would you be willing to make a contribution to this to this club, or maybe to a charity or awareness, maybe if it's researchers research center or something like that, maybe if it's anything related to maybe yeah medical research or something like that. And so you would use it for certain purposes, but it sure seems that way that when we do talk about charities, a lot of times it a lot of time, most of them are about the gift of kindness most of the time. But really, why do you think that, for any reason at all, why do you think that you would start off the conversation in any sort of way just by saying "just kidding" or something like that? So, like, everybody might think that okay, yeah, that any conversation that you're going to have, for sure, that you're going to talk about something, and then it's like, yeah, you get a reasonable answer, such as a yes or no or something like that, and you would hear "just kidding." And so why do you think that most of the time, that why do you think that anybody would hear would like to hear a conversation like that, for any reason at all? That why do you think that oh, I'm just kidding, yeah, I'm like, so yeah, a lot of times it's like that the way we think about that in a lot of ways too, that do you think that maybe anybody that would be kidding around over something, for sure, just because, mainly about the fact that yeah, they want to see what your reaction is going to be. And I kept thinking that that's usually what it is. Be quite honest with you, everybody, that I kept thinking that that most of the time that yeah, we want to see that look on your face. If I were to if you were to be asking, I'm like, yeah, if anybody were to be starting a conversation, for sure, and you want to know too that you start a conversation, and maybe if you include the word "please" and maybe "thank you" or something like that, and yeah, you would start a conversation about really anything, and you would be asking them that if you are willing to put your name, sign up today for something like yeah, if it's for donations, charities, or anything like that, anything that involves trying to reach out to the community, trying to reach out to the community and trying to tell everybody that yeah, that this is what we're doing right here, for if you're familiar with this. And so I would probably think that this right here, the way I had this paint right here, was almost like that that this right here was like a book author or something like that, like if the like for an author or something like that, to like maybe if you're trying to raise money for the for the Girl Scouts or something like that. But still, but the way I think about it, though, is that really, why do you think that you would start a conversation to where that yeah, I'm only kidding or something like that? So yeah, so it's like you just want to kind of give like a tease or something like that. But I'll go ahead and show everybody here that this right here is a text right down here that talks about yeah, it talks about charities are also known. So you have right here of talk about for charities, right? And so it's like, yeah, the charities, are also known as for donations whenever it comes to the support, most of the support that comes from the community right here. So if you were to actually say something like that, like everybody might say that yeah, that so if you're going to be getting any emails or look at any posters or anything anywhere like that, and then you see something on there such as support from the community, and so really, what does that mean? And I guess people might say to anybody who's looking at this for sure that you can start sharing stories, and a lot of times I look at that more as toward you start talking about stories, stories, and so each time you think about that, and you're warned toward okay, yeah, that so if everybody if you were to be talking to maybe five other people and know that you ask about their opinions about something and all that, and a lot of times it's like everybody might say that if you're going to have any source of a charity or maybe a fundraiser or something like that, and you're warned toward it that yeah that if you're trying to make money or raise money or just to kind of get everybody to to speak up about something for sure, then the chances are that you would include maybe an example of something to where are you familiar with this author or somebody who is on that TV show or something like that, and that's why it seems like that you would look at something like that and want to know too that whenever it comes to charities, but still that for the most part, and then I'll even show everybody that this right here that if you were to be so this right here, I can go ahead and include some text right here, but still that well, what it like you would see a portion right here on the left and the right, and like everybody might say that if you're going to be starting any source of subtitle for any article, by the way, that you would include, usually would you want to start from the left to the right here. This right here, this person was speaking right here, and they start talking about the things that for what they want to talk about, but talk about for support from the community right here. Yeah, support. Support. Say support. Give thanks. For the community. Even though the community may not realize the purpose. So if you were to say something like that, then like everybody would even think too that so if you're going to go ahead and just write in a few sentences right there, and do like a poster, like like a flyer or something like that, just to tell everybody that this is what this is for, and so you include an image right here and some writing, but really maybe not everybody is really going to so it's like people might even say too that I'm just going to go and just use the copy and paste right here just because, so that way we got the basic idea about that, but still that but if you were to be inserting any text of any kind right here and 102 that insert text right there, but you're warned that really, who has time to read all that right there? And you're 102 that who really has time to read all that, and despite about what it says, and that's why it seems like but anybody might even say that you can say other things, but like it seems like that if you're going to go ahead and be but if you're going to have like a flyer or something like that, and then let's just say that the text right here are supposed to explain, to anybody reading in the community about that this is what this person had to say about this. And so it's like, yeah, so you go and write right here, and you're warned toward it. That yeah, that I guess that the main goal right here is actually talking about that you would like to design like a brochure to where it would make it understandable. Anybody who's going to be reading this, they would like to understand something just by looking at it. Like you take about maybe 5 seconds or maybe 30 seconds or something like that, maybe to a minute, just to kind of look at it, just know what it is. And then it's like, yeah, do you wish to donate? And would you like to put your name right here? And so yeah, so that's a lot of things that most of the time that's usually what I see is that would you like to add your name to this right here? So this right here was supposed to be a conversation right here, and let's just say that if you were to say just kidding right here or something like that, and so really that if somebody was to be yeah, so a lot of times that's usually what it is. By the way, that's usually what I see is that you start a conversation with somebody, and somebody gives you that pretty please type look right there. Yeah, everybody might say that. What's your impression if you say no, no, nope. I am not going to do it. Not today. I'm not doing it, or something like that. And what's the first impression that they're going to maybe like? Okay, well, thanks for your time, or something like that. But still, so like everybody might say that most of the time that if you're going to the store to actually shop for something for sure, or maybe if you're just looking around, that you're going to be talking to somebody, and let's just say that maybe if it's charities for yeah, maybe something that you would like to talk to people in the community about or something like that, and maybe sporting events or something like that, and they'll say that yeah, that if you would like to speak up in the community, but still that it's like each time you think about that, and you're warned to where that yeah, that why do you think that you would use the words just kidding right here, and like we might even think too that yeah, talk about for home right here, and I'll go ahead and put that right down here, but still, so let's just say that if the charity was supposed to be about yeah, that bringing our children home or something like that, maybe if it's supposed to be something kind of like that, to where that yeah, that the reason why that we're doing this charity right here is so that way we can go ahead and bring our children home or something like that, and yeah, to be able to, maybe a lot of it has to do with the fact about making our members feel more welcome at home or something like that, and so that might be another reason why, yeah, welcome home or something like that. And so if you were to actually be designing a brochure, something like this right here, that says something like, yeah, welcome home or something like that. And so if you were to be doing something like that, then people might say that, that's just to show how much support that you're willing to give, right? And that's why it seems like that whenever you do think about that, and you're thinking is toward it, yeah, you sometimes you don't really feel like walking up in front of a bunch of people just to talk to them about something, and maybe just ask, if they would be willing to, being kind and be willing to give to donate, a certain amount, or maybe to ask for a signature, or maybe ask you to, well, what is your opinion about this and that, and so that is why it seems like everybody might say that, maybe a designer might even say that, yeah, welcome, hello, welcome, or something like that, and that you would do like something like, yeah, just one single page right here that of a printout, and you would say is toward it, yeah, that you know, uh, yeah, it's supposed to be something related to about something going on in the community or something like that, and so a lot of readers would say is to where that, yeah, that if you're familiar with this book author right here, like, yeah, Sarah Brown right here, and but still, that, but we're talking about for charities, and like people might say that really, what is the main purpose to why that you would want to go ahead and set any source of charity? And people might say that well, it's all about giving, right? It's about giving, and it's also about showing your support and your willingness and kindness to where anybody who's been in that situation, if they can show their support and everything, and that's usually what I see about it, and that is why it seems like that whenever you do think about that and want to know that yeah that what are the chances though that if you do if you like yeah if you have it maybe professionally done, then chances I'm like yeah you go ahead and put something together like for like a local charity and all that, but really any conversation that you do start out with, that the first thing that you might see is just kidding right here, and something like that. And so really that like everybody might even say too that's going to maybe be the first impression that you usually do get whenever you do start a conversation with somebody. Are you willing? I'm like, would you be willing? And so it's like, yeah, are you willing? So yeah, are you willing? So yeah, are you willing to give today or something like that? So yeah, you would. Are you willing to give? And so you would see something kind of like that right there, and you're want to know too that yeah, that you see something like that, and are you willing to give today? And that's why it seems like that. Whenever every time you do think about that, and you're warned toward it, okay, yeah, that most of the time anybody might say that they're willing to give, as long as maybe if you ask nicely or something like that, or maybe if it is anything, I'm like, yeah, if it's, maybe for a holiday or something like that, or maybe if you've been in that same situation. And everybody would probably say that, most of the time, if you've been in the same situation for the most time, that yeah, somebody might say that yeah, okay, yeah, I'll be willing to donate, today, or yeah, I'll be willing to give if you've been there, or maybe if the person asked nicely, or maybe I'm like yeah, so a lot of times it sure seems that way that each time you do think about that when we do talk about charities, a lot of times that you're warned toward it. That yeah, that you're welcome home right here, and so when we do talk about home right here, and people might even say too that the main reason why you're doing this charity right here is to where that to help bring yeah those who are struggling. I'm like yeah, those who are struggling, and maybe the for anybody who's trying to get some advice and trying to get some good decent feedback from the community. Anybody that they're talking to, for sure, that they say that try to get trying to get some support from them, and that's another reason why. So in case of anybody say yeah, instead of going on in genre about that, you could probably just say that it's all about support, right? And so when we do speak about support, by the way, that you're warned toward okay, yeah, support. It's all about the support, right? And you're talking for local charities, and so that's why it seems that toward it. Hey, that yeah. So if you're going to set any sorts of charity, that people might say that that's really what it's all about, right? Is about support, and yeah, it's all about support, right? So that's why it seems that to where that instead of maybe 4 or 5 page long of a document or something like that, or somebody says that yeah, as soon as you're walking out the door, from from shopping or something like that, that you would see maybe a poster board or something like that, and like everybody might say that you would see something kind of like that right there, toward it. There will be an example right here of an image about somebody who asks for feedback from the community, and also the wording right here of anything like for if you're familiar with this and if you're familiar with that. But why do you think that you would want to use just kidding for any reason? And anybody would even say too that I think a lot of ways it's all about the what is your reaction about that, and if you were to ask them a question, or maybe if you're just talking to them about something, and let's just say that they say that no, or okay, yeah, well, I'll be willing to do it for you today or something like that. So it sure seems that way. That why do really, why do you think that you would want to use just kidding for any conversation that you do and like to? But still, it seems like everybody else would say that. I really think in a lot of ways that when people kid around like that, I just really think that just to kind of get just to get to know the sense of humor just a little bit, and yeah, normally I would not be doing this, but I'll go ahead and be willing to do it for you just because you asked nicely or something like that. So really, each time you do think about that, and you're warned to where that really that whenever we do talk about charities and whenever we do talk about fundraisers and maybe support from the community, that what exactly is it? Like anybody might say, it's all about the attention, or maybe if it's all about the fact that really, whenever you do start any conversation for real, that it's like you're always warned to where that you even know what I'm talking about. So that's why it's like, yeah. So every time you think about that you're always warned to where that I'm not joking around, but I'm just trying to do my job or something like that. Like everybody else would say that if somebody's just doing their job and everything, and so really the main purpose about this, for sure, in case of anybody that's wondering, as to where that if you the gift you talk about for gift right here, and I'll go ahead and put that right here, and talk about forgiving right here. Talk about gifts, and I'll go ahead and just change this around right here. But still that each time I think about that, I'm always thinking as to where that okay, yeah, gift pretty much means is that you that you're like you're making an offering, right? And let me see here if I can go ahead and just full face right there, and just kind of give that little text writing right there and put gift right there. But it's like, so every time you think about gift right here, and you're warned to where, okay, that most of the time, most gifts, by the way, in case if anybody's want to know too, that, gifts. And so it sure seems that way that whenever it comes to talk about forgiving, though, that you give thanks or anything, and you want to go and just maybe put that down there, maybe so that way everybody can see that right there. Talk about forgives, and whenever you do give, by the way, but still, but it sure seems that way that why do you think that that you would start out a conversation with just kidding, and everybody would even say that what exactly does that mean? And I can go and just right on here that it means is toward it the that just why do you think anybody would tease you about anything if you were to ask them a question, is toward it that it pretty much means is toward it if the person is kidding around, it's all about that. Is it really about the sense of humor, or we could also look at that as to where it's a way that it's a way to like is that really about the part of the community or something like that? You might even say the sense of humor, but I guess another word for it would be as toward it your willingness and kindness or something like that. Kindness, and So really, that we might even think that there's really no rule about that in particular. But if somebody were to be kidding around, and they might say that normally I don't usually give, but I am willing to give today just because you asked nicely or something like that. But I mean, it sure seems that way. That if it was well explained, for sure. But people might say that when we do talk about for just kidding right here, for whenever it comes to charities or anything like that, and people might say that, well, really, that for the most part, that if somebody, I'm like, yeah, if somebody were to give you that pretty please, type look right there, and everybody might say that, well, really, that you're pretty please. That's usually what happens too. Is that everybody say go ahead and just write right there. Yeah, pretty please. So yeah, really, what's the type of look anybody would give whenever it comes to saying pretty please? And have we seen it before? Everybody might say that what's the type of look that children usually give, and most of the time, yeah, most of the time children usually give that word of talk about for pretty please, mainly because about the fact that if it's yeah, if you can actually see yeah, whenever you look into their eyes, especially. Now, I'll even tell everybody here, to be quite honest with you, from what I've seen and experienced a lot of times. I don't know if you want to put a quotation part and then an exclamation point or something like that, for please or something like that. Please, thank you. And so, yeah, thank you right there. And so, yeah, it's like, so if you ever be talking to anybody, and like everybody might say that, you could be talking to somebody, yeah, strangers or anybody, and anybody that you're talking to, and really, what does that usually mean? Whenever you have anybody that you really don't know that they do start giving or they're willing to offer to help out a little bit, just because, and people might say that usually you see that maybe if anybody is familiar with something that you're talking about, or for anything, if you see everybody else that taking care of and helping out, right? So a lot of times if you see about maybe 5 or 10 people getting all together in a group, and then you start seeing them yeah, you start seeing them filling something out, or you start seeing them giving a little bit yeah, offering to make an offering of a little bit of money or something like that, making a donation. And so that's why it seems like that yeah, whenever you do give, a lot of times people might say that pretty please, thank you. And so yeah, so it's like each time you do think about that, and you're want to know too that that yeah, that people most of the time, and I'll even tell everybody that most of the time somebody is willing to give if they've been there. Yeah, if you've been there in that same situation, and yeah, if you've been there, and if you've been in that same situation, for sure that I've been there. And I don't know if anybody, I'm like, yeah, I have been there, or if you want to go ahead and I've been there. So really, that if you want to, I'm like, yeah, your different words of how you want it, but still, everybody might say that yeah, if you've been in that same situation, for sure that you would want to go ahead and yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there to where that I've had to ask for some extra assistance, and yeah, you'll be able to go ahead and you'll get some extra assistance if it's needed. And so yeah, so a lot of times it sure seems that way that everybody might say that's really the point of the matter. By the way, that if somebody has been there in that same situation, maybe if it's the recovery fund, or maybe if it's the relief fund or something like that, that that you would say something like, yeah, I've been there. I've been in that same situation. I'm willing to help out. And so it sure seems that way, that every time you think about that, then you're warned to where that, do you feel like, people might say that, you feel kind of nervous just walking up in front of a group of people and just asking them for a favor or something like that, or just asking them, just talking to them about something. And so that's why it seems like that, whenever we do, whenever we talk about Facebook ads, and whenever we do talk about maybe ads on Twitter or Instagram, and you would say is toward, yeah, I've been there, and tell her, yeah, you want to go ahead and just copy that, and or just, yeah, go ahead and copy that, and create a layout for it, and maybe put that right there. I could probably do that, and so that way we can all see that right there. Yeah, I've been there, and yeah, everybody might say that. I know it. You're not going to be able to read that very well. I know it. I'm trying to. Everybody might say that if you're going to be putting together an ad or a flyer of any kind, you may not have certain text on the wording, and so that's why everybody would maybe suggest that yeah, go ahead and everybody would probably suggest that you go ahead and if you can, go ahead and make sure it's there so everybody can read it right there. But still, I have been there. I've been there, and so yeah, so it's like really, what is your reaction whenever you do see something like that? And people might say that if you see an image like this right here that talks about maybe somebody that's trying to speak out and ask about everybody's opinion in the community, and want to know too that you go ahead and show somebody something. It's supposed to just talk about a story about anything, if you're familiar with this, and maybe about the children's hospital, or maybe raising raising awareness or something, like, yeah, maybe something that you're doing for the community, and you're trying to ask everybody to if they can help out, and then you go ahead and add your name here and all that. So most of the time, yeah, most of the time it's like, I have been there in that same situation, and I support you for that. And so that's usually a lot of times that anybody might say that if you've been there for sure, that you'll be able to get extra assistance, and most of the time that you might be just you're pretty surprised, right? And so that's why it seems like that every time you do think about that, and you're warned to where that yeah, you start talking about something, and maybe not everybody's going to know what you're talking about at first, until that they are start seeing some examples of anything that you want to talk about. But this right here is a portrait right here, and anybody might say that if you were to be given an example of somebody that you could be talking to in a community, and most of the time that it seems like that most of those conversations, by the way, are going to be started out with is toward it that yeah, anybody that you're going to be talking to in the community, for sure, that you start a conversation with somebody, and the first thing that they're going to say is that I'm just kidding. But still, it's like but still, are you willing to give today? And so I guess you could say that's kind of like a question mark right there. And so it's like, yeah, so you would see something like that. You see a flyer like that right there, and want to know too that yeah, if you explained it very well and everything, but it sure seems that way, that every time you do think about that, and you want to know too that you really surprised on the progress to where that how many people are going to react to that. And so let's just say that this right here was supposed to be like an advertisement that you might see maybe on Instagram or even on Twitter, and somebody's going to say that yeah, I'm familiar with that, and yeah, I know that. And so yeah, so it's like even if it is, recovery or something like that, maybe from, maybe from, disaster relief, or maybe from the hurricane or something like that, tropical storm or anything like that. But you see right here is this example right here of this painting right here, and I'm using this as example right here of more like for talk about for charity, because a lot of times, especially for Christmas and Hanukkah, that you would see anybody that's going to be talking about whenever it comes to charities. And this charity, by the way, could also be about is toward a lot of children who ask you to who ask to where if you support the children, for those who I'm like, maybe if it's for Girl Scouts or something like that, or anybody in the community, maybe raising money, just to be able, I'm like, for charity for kids or something like that, maybe for children's books or something like that. And that's why it seems like that when we do speak about charities, it's about about showing your support and everything. But still, that everybody might even say that even if you're helping somebody by giving them directions on how to get somewhere, and like everybody might say that most of the time that maybe some of these charities would possibly happen is to where if you're willing to help somebody out just by if they need help carrying something, or maybe if they need help with directions or something like that, if they need help with knowing, I'm like, something around going on around town, maybe if it is a parade or a festival or something like that, that you would show them where they need to go. And then if you're willing to give a little bit of kindness of appreciation, right? And it is Christmas, and so it's like something like that. But really, that you're always thinking as to where that whenever you do have most of these conversations, for the most part, that you would start out by saying as to where, okay, just kidding. So why do you think the willingness and the kindness and all that? But still, it's all about the sense of humor, and I just really think in a lot of ways that whenever somebody uses that just kidding, that what they really are saying is toward it, that yeah, well, I'm just want to see, how much. I'm like, if you really want, or I'm like, it's like you're pretty pleased or something like that, and just for just today, or if it's well, I didn't know that or something like that, and so really that really how when we do talk about any source of conversation that we talk to with somebody, that when we do talk about conversations, by the way, that most of the time that the first thing that you hear about are the rules, right? But still, it's mainly it's about the rules, but it's sure so your rules and the policies and everything. But every time you do think about that, and you're warned to where that if you ask them, I'm like, if you have a smile, and if you give them, if you approach their attention a lot of times, and everybody might say that that if you ask nicely, and maybe if you impress with a smile on the face, or like if you had that, maybe if you give them that real sad and disappointed look or something like that, it's possible that they're going to say, oh, I'm just kidding. Okay, well, here, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and work it out with you or something like that. So most of the time, it's like, everybody might say that showing good support and good service for the most part. That do you think that maybe anybody might say that you go ahead and include an image right here to where that, it could be something kind of like this right here, but for the most part, that you would include an image right here, and maybe saying something like "pretty please" or something like that, and just to kind of help them realize what I'm like, or just something like that. But I'm sure we all have our stories about that situation toward it. That if it was maybe recent shopping experience, or maybe if it was something about to where that you asked nicely, and if you've been in there to that same situation, but everybody else might say that that Anybody would say that if you're going to say just kidding for any reason at all, what they're basically saying is toward it, yeah, that yeah, that what they're basically are doing is toward it. They're teasing you. Yeah, they're teasing you and thinking is toward, okay, well, the first impression that you get a lot of times is that, yeah, that sad, type mark. And in case of anybody's may want to know too, that whenever you can actually see that that pretty pleased look on their eyes, especially in case of anybody's want to know too, that for the most part, that yeah, if you actually see somebody, they're going to be looking at you and thinking as toward it, whenever you do actually see that impression in their eyes most of the time. Most of the time, most parents might even say too that that's usually what you see too. If there's a time where you can actually see a look on their eyes, such as maybe a reflection of some sort, that yeah, are you willing to give today or something like that? So really that so the you think about that is toward I've been there in that same situation, and also is that for how it was handled, especially. So it's like so everybody might say that you look at something like that and you're 102 that yeah, thanks, yeah, you're welcome. And so yeah, I did not include that right here, but everybody might say that if you want to include that, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. And I got welcome down there, but still, I know run out of space. But usually that whenever you do have conversations, for the most part, that you talk to somebody, and then it's like, yeah. So really, how does it really begin? Whenever you do start a conversation with somebody, and let's just say that a lot of times it's like, what's the first answer that you usually give? And it's like, yeah, but still. But on the other hand, that whenever you do ask for some support or maybe some, kindness or something like that. But anyway, but I think in a lot of ways that when we do talk about for just kidding, also, that's another way of saying is to where that, yeah, that this person right here, that, anybody that you're talking to, that, yeah, oh, I'm just kidding around, or that it's another way, just to kind of get to know you a little bit more. And, everybody might say that, well, how often do you think that that's really the case? Is that, just to get to know the person a little bit more, they're just kidding around. They're just joking. Oh, no. Yeah, oh, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we'll be willing to do that for you today or something like that. Or, yeah, I'll be willing to work it out with you. And so, yeah, it's all about, yeah, we'll work it out with you. And I think we can arrange that, something like that. And we can work that out. So yeah, you could say something like that, but I would probably tell everybody that I think the main reason is because that, if you've been there, if you've been in that same situation, that's really the purpose about it. And so, but the way I think about it, that whenever you do see something like that, and you read the story right there, and anybody might say if you're going to be shopping around, shopping for something for the holidays, that if most of the time, if you're able to find what you were looking for and shopping for, right? And if you've gotten some real good service, what are the chances that you're going to go ahead and make a donation? And what, the chances are that it would improve, right? And people might say if you did find what you were looking for, let's just say if it's a Sunday morning, that, you'll be willing to give, an extra $1 or an extra $5 here or there. And so it's like, yeah. So most of the time that talk about whenever we talk about charities, right? But still, that in a lot of ways, it sure seems that way. That people might say that that's the thing about flyers, is that if you're going to be at a festival, that you would like to, you would maybe like to know of a tool to where that you can go ahead and add conversations like this right here. Looks like just a poster board right here, but there would be like a way to where you can actually ask anybody who's looking at that, and if you want to ask for their feedback, that there will be a way that you can ask that you can put up sticky notes or something like that. And so, like everybody might say that if you're going to be asking for feedback from everybody else, for sure that you would see something like an image right here, but then like on the left, and the right here, and maybe on the bottom, you would see sticky notes to where that somebody was providing feedback, like on the right corner right here or something like that. And so it sure seems that way, that every time you think about that, and you're always thinking as to where, yeah, that this right here is supposed to be maybe like a little meeting room right here, and but then you don't realize that that somebody posted a comment right here, and that they left feedback right here, but you didn't know that because it looks like just a poster right here, but still, in case if anybody were to ask me that. That if you were to actually see this maybe posted up on the wall, maybe in a hallway, and maybe not everybody's going to realize that people have been leaving feedback right here, like right on the right side right here, and so that's why it seems that if somebody's been given feedback and somebody's been willing to put in a few donations and be willing to support that and all that, so that's why it seems that way, to where that when we do talk about posters, though, that maybe not everybody sees it, not everybody realizes what's going on right there. So half the time you want to know too that every time you think about a charity, and every time you do think about any sort of poster or a flyer, that most of the time it's only just one page right here, and then you would see something like the QR code scan, barcode scanner or something like that, and QR code scanner, or maybe this is the email address to visit or something like that. And so that's why it seems that way, to where that every time you think about that, and you're one o too, that you don't take enough time to leave enough space for anybody to go ahead and write their name right here or anything like that, but still. So, like everybody might say that, you start working on this just by an image right here. But let's just say that if you were to try to record a story, if you want to try to print a story of some kind, or maybe somebody's feedback about something, and the 102 that, I've been in that same situation. So if you were to actually zoom in right here, and you see that right there, for parents and children, I've been there. I've been in that same situation. And so anybody who's reading this, you go ahead and look right here on the right, look on the left right here, and then you look on the bottom right here. And if it's like, check your email messages or text messages, and you would see that somebody left feedback about that. And so it sure seems that way, that, that whenever you do think about that, and you're always want to know too that maybe don't be surprised if you do start seeing this, to where that whenever you first start working on this, that the first thing that you saw was that charities are also known as donations. So if you have donations right here, are you willing to give and give today? And so it's like, so you would maybe think as to where that you see that, but then also you're also one or two that that all the information about people leaving feedback, and maybe if you were to be working on this, maybe for a fundraiser, maybe for a website or something like that, or maybe for a web page or something like that for a local charity, that if you were to include a website or something like that, but maybe everybody would say is to where to please include a story to explain what's the purpose to why what you're talking about, and maybe anybody who's trying to better understand what is it that you're talking about, what you're referring to. And so it sure seems that way, that start out with a story, and like everybody might say that it don't really have to be a story, but let's just say that one suggestion that you could give is to start out with a story to explain to somebody about to be able to help them understand and knowing about what is needed, and any support that you're willing to get from somebody that you're talking to. And so that's why it seems that way, to where that you go ahead and look at this image right here and you start writing a story right here. And anybody who's reading this, and people might say that, yeah, well, really, is anybody really going to take the time to read all this right here? And then, and they say that, yeah, are you willing to give today or something like that? So, yeah. So, number one, they might say that if you make it smaller, for sure, if it's in small print right here, but people might say that, yeah, well, it's possible if you do give, and maybe if you take the time to go ahead and put your name and phone number right here or something like that, then you would you would get a text message or something like that that would show the details right there or something like that. Yeah, I'll explain. And that's usually, yeah, I can put that right there, is to word it, yeah, explain, please explain or something like that. Yeah, explain. And so if you're going to be talking, like everybody might say that places where you go, by the way, that you only have maybe a minute to talk to somebody, and let's just say if you're going to be in a hurry to go somewhere, for sure, that you talk to somebody, but you don't realize what the details are or something like that. So really, everybody might say that if you really would like to show support for this charity or something like that, maybe everybody would say is to where that you were not able to explain there and then about the details about it. So really, what better way is there to try to fix that? And somebody might say that they're really the best way maybe of how to to explain, for sure, like everybody might say that if you were to go ahead and like a poster board or something like that, or like everybody might say that QR code scan. And I know everybody might say that maybe that's another reason why that QR code scanners are used, is because of the fact that if you have your phone handy, if you got your mobile phone handy, and if you have it ready, please scan this QR code right here for more information about that. And so if you are in a hurry, for sure, and maybe that's another reason why a lot of newspapers would publish ads like that in the papers, by the way, is because that you were not able to explain the details about this charity whenever you went up there to the grocery store or even at the gas station. And that's another reason why that they say if you would like to add your name, or maybe to audition for the concert tickets or something like that. And they say is to where it will explain, more details are emailed to you or something like that. And so really, any opportunities or something like that, and you always want to know too that you didn't realize it during a time. So really, what better solution would be used whenever it comes to that? And I guess everybody might say is to where do you go ahead and talk to an expert who's willing to explain to you, or if anything, that if you have a phone or something like that, like everybody might say, if you bought a local paper, or if you bought something with the coupons or something like that attached or something like that. And so like, everybody might say that if you recently bought a paper recently, then details are right there. And that's why it seems that to where every time you do think about that, and you're always want to know too you're always thinking as to where whenever you do go to the store, you just want to kind of get in there and get out. And you go to the gas station, you only spend about maybe a minute or two in there, just get what you need, and you want to leave or something like that. But still, it's like, but when we do talk about charities a lot of times, and so that's why it seems like what better solution would there to be? And that's why it seems that way, to where that really anybody might say that would the best solution would be is to scan the QR code, or if anything, like everybody might say that, to where that if anything, you go ahead and buy a paper, or anybody that you're going to be talking to, for sure. But every time you do think about that, and you're thinking as to where that anybody that you're talking to in the community, and you're warned to where that you didn't know the details there and then. And So yeah, stuff like that. But anyway, I know I've been talking a lot, but still, I just want to let everybody know that based on my experience, though, that it sure seems that way. That you think about charities a lot of times, and you're always want to know too that yeah, that somebody's asking you to please explain what they see right here. And the first thing that I might show them is a Photoshop, painting right here of illustration work that I put right here. And not everybody's going to know what that is at first. And so maybe that's another reason why, like everybody might say that, you didn't know what it was there at first. And so it sure seems that way. Anybody who's going to say, yeah, well, you're the graphic designer, you can go explain to your audience about what they're looking at right here. And so that's another reason why that you place the text right here as an example of like a story, and also talk about, are you willing to give today, or something like, yeah, welcome home. And so yeah, if you take the extra time to go ahead and add like a story, and maybe show, add something that shows support right here, add a little bit of text and writing, so that way your readers and viewers will be able to better understand that. And so like everybody might say that it may take a few minutes to an hour just to be able to work on that, but in the long run, like everybody might say, that anything that you don't quite understand yet, something that you didn't quite get during the time, but it seems like that whenever you look at that painting right there, and you're 102, that yeah, I look at that as more as for author, but like everybody might say that, whenever you do think about that, do you think about charity, or maybe do you think about maybe kids edition or something like that, or maybe yeah, something about the Girl Scouts or something like that, but still, it's like every time you think about that in 102, that yeah, the person speaking or something like that. I can tell you one thing. I can remember having a thought that you were having a job like that, to where that somebody's able to look at an image right there in 102, that yeah, you grew up watching television, and you always thinking, is if you saw a phone number, or maybe an address that appeared on a TV screen, and you always want to know too that, yeah, you would watch TV and you would listen to the radio, and you'll be thinking as toward it, yeah, that are they talking to me? And so a lot of times, and I can tell everybody that that's exactly what I felt about a lot of times, is that anything that you watch on TV, or anything that you hear on the radio, that really, that anything that especially if it's a late night hour or so, that you would see something like that, and you always want to know too that who could be watching and who could be listening. And at 102 is to where that, are you willing to help somebody out, just by putting together something such as maybe like a document or design like this. And but still, but I'll tell everybody that, do you think that it would be maybe for donating, giving toys, and maybe showing support, or maybe cooking and not preparing for a nice meal or something like that? And so that's why it seems that way, that especially for Christmas time, that you're always 102, that you'll use a portrait right here. And I'll tell everybody that yeah, I use that right there, like typical psychology or so, but still, just to understand somebody's feelings, and also that whenever it comes to gift of kindness and all that, but still, I was also thinking too that it reminds me of an author, but everybody else might say that, is it going to remind you of for charities, and for donations, and so yeah, so if you want to make a contribution, or if you want to donate money for any reason at all, that that this is how you would do that. And so yeah, if you go to the stores, and they would say that if you would like to donate to this charity or something, and so yeah, if you would like to make a donation, and so yeah, most of the time I see that after you have your shopping experience for the most part. But somebody might say that if you were able to find what you were looking for sure, if you were able to find everything all right, and anything that you were shopping for, anything that was suggested to you, and so yeah, something like that. And But still, it's like, so we all want to know too that why do you think that you wouldn't want to write small like that and write these in big letters, bigger letters right there? But still, I, on the other hand, that would think as to where that, yeah, whenever you start working on this, that you were actually, yeah, you just kind of want to add in a few details right there, and yeah, you didn't know really what everybody else was thinking about, for sure. But anyway, but yeah, that's one thing I want to talk about, everybody. That if this right here was supposed to be like an advertisement right here for a charity, and have right here for just kidding, but everybody might say that, yeah, whenever you do start any kind of conversation with anybody, for sure that they use just kidding mainly because of the fact that they really would like to see, that look on your face and like say, really, oh, that's, I'm like, oh, I'm only kidding, so yeah. So usually, usually somebody would say something like that, mainly because of the fact that, yeah, that, if you actually talk to somebody or that, so yeah, so it's like, I'm just trying to make you happy. Well, okay, yeah, well, we'll go ahead and do it for you today just because you asked nicely or something. But anyway, so yeah, anybody, let me know what you think. But I was just thinking too that, yeah, you look at this right here, and you want to know too that, yeah, what do you think that anybody is really thinking about? Whenever they look at your work and want to know that. That, yeah, I think that looks kind of neat looking. I think that looks kind of cute right there. But still, I, on your hand, that you always want to know too that if you want to go and include a text right here and text right here, and you always want to know too that that why is it that you would place text right here and all that, and tell everybody that yeah, well, I can explain. And so anybody who's going to be looking at your work for sure is going to say that, can you explain what this is about right here? And yeah, as a graphic designer, by the way, everybody, you share something with somebody, and for sure, a lot of your viewers are not really going to know what this is right here. It's a painted portrait of who or something like that. Who's Sarah Brown? And you're like, yeah, that's just somebody that you might meet one of these days, or is it supposed to be a famous author or somebody like that? But still. But I use this as an example right here of a talk about for charities right here. And then I have right here talk about for people in the community. But still, it's like if you're going to be going anywhere and you see something kind of like this right here, and you're worried to where you only take about maybe a minute to look at it, and everybody might say that, yeah, you may not realize something right away. And that's why they might say is toward it, yeah, if you've been there in that same situation. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.